Chance here from Vital Revive, and today we're going to be focusing on 10 steps to getting your life back from narcissistic abuse. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm reading something that's already been posted by someone else, but I'm linking their credits down in the description below. Okay, because I understand a lot of people nowadays are very busy, and sometimes the only thing you can do is kind of have something in the background that you can listen to or just sort of relax with. Okay, and this is definitely going to be more of a healing kind of post. All right, so with that being said, again, this person, if you want to check out their stuff, it's linked down below, okay? And this comes from medium.com at soulgps, okay? And again, linking everything down below, so you can check out this article if you guys really enjoy it, okay? And show this person some support also if you really enjoy it. So the first thing we're going into here is, I'm just going to start reading. So Newton's law, objects that are stationary tend to remain stationary. Objects that are in motion tend to be in motion. One of the most difficult things about overcoming narcissistic abuse is shifting the dynamic from dwelling in pain and ruminating on the past to gaining momentum that will launch us into a brighter future. The pain is a natural response to the abuse, which broke our heart, and in most cases destroyed our sense of self, so we are dealing with a lot. The cognitive dissonance of two clashing ideas, one being the narcissist as our soulmate, and the other, our ex, as a heartless oppressor, is at the root of massive confusion that is left over after the relationship falls apart. Many people that I speak to in my coaching practice express an attitude of disbelief. How could she or he have done all these things? I thought they loved me. It is important to remember that narcissists, borderlines, psychopaths, sociopaths, histrionics, and any combination thereof are not people who go from being normal only to switch into the disorder in moments of pressure, of stress. It is called a personality disorder for a reason. This is who they are and how they are all the time. Many partners of cluster Bs are notorious at projecting their values and perceptions onto their disordered partner. Our traits of empathy, compassion, and forgiveness run deep and make us question the motives behind the narcissist's horrendous acts, so we give them benefits of the doubt over and over and over again. In essence, enabling the abuse to continue and even escalate. Instead of resolving anything, our kindness, coupled with rationalization of their behavior, keeps the abuse cycle going. So we finally awaken to the harsh truth and get away. Now what? Now the true healing begins. Initially, it will feel like trying to climb a muddy mountain. We keep slipping and end up exhausted, getting nowhere. But it only seems this way. Each time we do a kind act towards ourselves, it adds up. The body and mind indeed do keep a score. Eventually, my small self-care practices began to gain momentum until months later I reached the tipping point. 8 months later, I'm no longer pulled into the downward spiral of despair. Instead, what happened fuels my desire to be even kinder to myself and to spread this information to others who are suffering, with the mission to provide relief and understanding. Below are the 10 practices that I incorporated into my healing practice that helped me to overcome the devastation that caused my narcissistic abuse. Okay, number 1, set boundaries. In order for the healing to commence, you need to put a protective shield around yourself. If you can physically get away, that is the best. Any memory of the narcissist will keep triggering the pain, slowing down your recovery. So block them on your phone, email, all your social media, etc. Get rid of any memorabilia reminding you of them, and for goodness sake, do not stalk their profiles. Easier said than done sometimes, right? But I see where this person's going. If you are unable to physically remove yourself from their environment, look into a technique called gray rock. The idea is that while you interact with the narcissist, you remain emotionally and mentally disengaged, giving them nothing to feed on. Even though you may be boiling inside, do not let them see that. Once you are alone, let it all out. Cry, scream, cuss, whatever brings you relief. Another form of a boundary to start practicing is learning how to say no. It will help you build self-respect and true confidence. Your boundary is like a cell wall. It keeps nutrients in and toxicity out. Become very picky whom you let in. Okay? And for the empath, we talked about this in one of my other videos, it's harder to set up boundaries, but it's also much more rewarding when you start setting up boundaries because you're like, oh, I don't have to be this way. Oh, I don't have to do this, right? It becomes a lot easier once you start. So on the journey to starting setting boundaries, set boundaries. Like, just try it out. See what happens. And if you're setting a boundary, which literally is you saying, I'm protecting myself, and another person gets upset, that's something you can keep track of and be like, oh, I see how it is. Because that is a clue. Don't focus on the words when someone's talking to you. Focus on the action behind them. See if they keep their words. See if there's someone who keeps their promises, because actions really do speak louder than words. And when it comes to narcissism, especially, they will do whatever they can to lie and manipulate to try and get you to believe what they're saying, but really focus on actions, guys. That's what we need to do. When we do that, we can start to heal and we can start to see who's really there for us and who's not. Okay. So, number 2, get the toxicity out of your system. During the time you've spent around the narcissist, doing everything in your power to please and appease them, you've been exposed to a serious mental disorder. It is extremely unhealthy to the mind of an empath. We took it in by doing what we could do to understand them and walk in their shoes. Narcissists know this and take full advantage of this empathic trait. Now it is time to let all that dark goo out for health and clarity to be restored. One of the best things you can do is externalize it. Journal about what happened. Talk to a trusted friend who gets it. Engage a therapist or coach. Join a support group to connect with others who can relate to your experience. Externalizing will help chaotic, confused thoughts click into place, restoring a semblance of order. It will help clear your slate from the debris. Other forms of externalization include movements such as dance, deep breathing, mind-body exercises like yoga, sweating, getting a massage. All this is helpful in metabolizing the toxic chemicals that have been generated during the devaluation and discard stages of the relationship. Very important. Okay, so this is something that I believe in. If we're having a difficult time, if we journal it, what happens is if we're writing about something that's happened to us and we really write about it, we really let the truth out because no one's going to see it but us. And we just have to let ourselves talk how we feel. What happens is that when we're writing, we'll make connections. We'll be like, oh, okay, I see how this really is. I didn't realize this pattern before. But beyond that, we're looking at making the subconscious conscious. So when we're writing, we're making a subconscious thought or behavior or pattern, and we can actually bring it into the conscious world, and then we can release it from there. I would say write down what this person did, how it's going, and then burn it, because that's a way of releasing you from the chains of it. And as weird as it sounds, trust me, this is a powerful, powerful exercise, and it gives you a sense of release because that's all this is. It's just energy that is stuck, even if it hurts like you can't believe. If we start to release the grip and we start to, let the flow come back in, it becomes easier to heal, okay? So number 3, right here. Acknowledge the truth and forgive yourself. This step will begin to set your mind straight. You must accept the truth that this person was highly toxic and consciously hurt you. Realize you've been tricked, manipulated, and abused. Your high pain threshold worked to your disadvantage, making them push you farther and farther with each abuse cycle. Seeing them as a reflection of you obscured the warning signs and made them fly under your radar. Your best traits were used against you: empathy, desire to explore, openness, positive sociability, etc. And finally, not realizing you were in a dirty game, you were outmaneuvered. It was not your fault. Forgive yourself now. First step is to forgive yourself, because it's not about anything else other than forgiving yourself. That's the journey. That's the power. That's where the power lies, is self-forgiveness, right? And that's where you're going to start being able to authentically express yourself even more, because you have to be kind in that respect to yourself, okay? Because you weren't stupid. You shouldn't have realized it sooner. It just doesn't make any sense. Go with it now. Go with how it feels now and go from that point onward. Don't look back. Don't say, I could have done this. I should have done this. That doesn't do anything for you. Look at how we can heal now and focus on that. Okay, guys? That's the main deal. That's what we're looking for. 4, realize that part of you knew, but disregard it. This is a step where you begin to take responsibility. not to be confused with self-blame, and do a rational post-mortem analysis of what happened. Maybe you got a feeling in your stomach at some point early in the relationship. Maybe some things they said just didn't add up. Look at that and ask yourself why you disregarded your intuitive hints. Was it because you really wanted to make it work? Was it because their words of admiration and acts of love filled that void inside your soul, a void left over perhaps from childhood? If you've never truly felt loved in your life, especially by your parents, it is very normal for you to seek a fulfillment of that love in your adult life. However, it is a huge vulnerability, especially in the vicinity of a predator who can smell that love wound on you and be attracted to it. Let's see. If it was a shark, it is attracted. If they are a shark, they are attracted by the scent of blood. Your intuition is your friend. The more you listen to it, the stronger it will get. It may be really difficult to connect with your intuition in the aftermath of the abusive relationship. The reason for it is that we become hypersensitive to our environment due to the PTSD. It can be difficult to tell what is a real threat and what isn't. If this is something you're going through, it may be a sign that you need to remain in a hibernation mode in order to heal. Also, it is okay to err on the side of caution for some time and avoid questionable characters and situations. For more on how you can get your intuition and self-trust back, and there's a link here that you can visit. 5. Do self-inquiry. The period of overcoming and healing from narcissistic abuse is an exceptional opportunity for growth. This is because now we have an unimpeded look at our vulnerabilities. This is not easy to do, which is why most people never get this deep and instead remain stuck in more or less the same modus operandi for a majority of their life. Modus operandi is mode of operation, like how you operate on a daily basis, even while desiring change. But real change can only occur as a result of deep work. A key to this work is self-inquiry, included as the 4th niyama in Ashtanga Yoga. If enlightenment was ever on your list, know you now have a leg up. Awakening from the prison bond of narcissistic abuse is a potent form of awakening. Here are some examples of perhaps what you are discovering as your greatest vulnerabilities that keep attracting manipulators into your life. Need for security. Likely a flashback to childhood, a symptom of fatherly neglect. One of the most fundamental roles of the father is to instill in his child a sense of self-protection by demonstrating it in his actions. Lack of this makes us set out into a world with an impaired sense of security. Need for adoration. Often a symptom of not getting enough nurturing in childhood and instead being brushed aside. Ignorance from parents can later manifest as low self-regard and a lack of confidence. This puts us at the risk of biting the predator's hook the moment the sweet nothings begin to roll off their tongue. Need for acknowledgement. Whether of our attractiveness, intelligence, significance, etc., many of us walk around with empty buckets and a nagging sense of feeling less than being in quotations. What's ironic is that it is often the case even if we have many accomplishments under our belt. This is because the sense of feeling insignificant or unimportant doesn't dwell on the surface. It is lodged deep inside your subconscious. To get there requires learning to persistently give acknowledgement to yourself through mastering the art of positive self-talk. The amazing thing about this is once you grasp it, you will cease your dependence on anyone else's opinion of you. It is the key to true freedom. 6. Heal your inner child. Taking a trip back to childhood is a necessary component of healing. If we want lasting results, it will create a sense of inner cohesion, eliminate much unresolved pain, and restore deeper connection to self-trust. The little one inside you needs your help. They need you to see them, hear them, love them, and guide them. There is no better person I could recommend here than the work of John Bradshaw. His 10-part video series titled Homecoming was instrumental in getting me out of a dark hole of despair and into a sunshine-bathed meadow of innocence, where my little girl and I got to really connect, this time for good. So, when you're doing psychic work, when you're doing spiritual work of any kind, the inner child is actually your link to your psychic ability. Your imagination, your sense of innocence, that is what is linked to your psychic ability, because the child is all about exploration, and when we lose that psychic ability. That's why children are noted to have more psychic ability, past life dreams and all sorts of stuff, which, by the way, look that up. Children having past life instances is really cool stuff, and maybe I'll do a video on that in the future. But primarily what we're focusing on is we're looking at the fact that this links to this, okay? The inner child links to the adult child, okay? That's what I'm going to say right now. We're adult children, and if you try and convince me otherwise, no, we're adult children, okay? So when we start to focus on that cohesion, that combining of it, we can start to heal. And when we start to heal that foundational aspect of us, we can build our house and we can make it stronger, okay? So that's definitely really cool. 7, shift your focus. There will be a long period of time where you will feel pulled towards the past. It is a cognitive dissonance and trauma bond at work. And cognitive dissonance is when you're holding two ideas to be a belief, but you don't know which one to choose, and it's very uncomfortable for the mind. So that's what cognitive dissonance is. So imagine that I was trying to think of a cognitive dissonance, okay? If I was someone who had an abusive relationship and I was in between thinking the person was abusive or thinking that they loved me, okay, that's cognitive dissonance because I don't know which to choose. I'm like, oh, are they abusive? Do they love me? And it makes you question reality. So cognitive dissonance is a way of basically we don't have one belief, instead we're split between two beliefs, and when we do that, we feel confused, we can get easily manipulated, and it's okay to have that for a time, but eventually the mind wants to settle on, is it this or is it this? And sometimes we go into a delusional state where we say, okay, they do love me because they're here with me right now, versus if they're abusive or physically abusive, it becomes something where we can talk ourselves into a situation that wasn't really there. Okay, so that's what cognitive dissonance is. You will be pulled towards the past. It is a cognitive dissonance and trauma bond at work. It is a sign that there are still things you need to understand and emotions to process. It is absolutely necessary to continue this work, but instead of letting the past steal your present moments, set aside dedicated time to do just that. Meanwhile, practice staying mindful in the present and thinking of the future you'd like to create for yourself. Resurrect your dreams, maybe even give them an upgrade. Having a sense of purpose in life and things to look forward to helps us overcome the pull of trauma and launches us forward. Knowing your why is a good place to start. It shifts you from being a victim to becoming the hero of your life. For starters, know this: healing from narcissistic abuse will make you a more integrated, whole, aware, and self-loving person. It can be a gift. What you do with it is really up to you. And as uncomfortable as this can sound, okay, narcissistic abuse, either in parents or in relationships, are really something we can use to springboard us into an awakening. And generally when they happen, and when we start to understand what's going on, we start to awaken parts of ourselves, parts of our psychic ability. And it's actually a really powerful tool for self-integration, like this person's talking about. So it's actually a good thing, because you can see your life differently. And it's like having a trial and overcoming it, and that's definitely a good thing, okay? 8, practice listening. As I mentioned above, the inner quiet voice is your best friend, even and especially when you are in the midst of chaos and pain. It can help navigate you out of suffering. There are many reasons why we experience narcissistic abuse. Many of those reasons were outside our control. The world is full of manipulative characters who live to fulfill their own agenda. Now it is time for you to take your destiny back in your hands. You can practice listening to the voice by asking yourself, how do I feel now? If you are faced with a choice, always go with the inner feeling. If you feel relaxed and open, the answer is a yes. If you are on the fence, it is likely better to hold back. The inner voice of your intuition will help guide you to your new life in which you have more control, because you now know yourself and what you want much better. It is a life full of possibilities and harmony, where your inner where your inner desires and outside manifestation can finally match one another. 9. Activate your vagus nerve. Being in an abusive relationship made us constantly dwell in a state of hypervigilance. Even if we were not aware of it, even during the highs, the intensity of the relationship made it seem like we were on a roller coaster ride. Other times we were walking on our tiptoes not to disturb the abuser. And when they're talking about hyper-awareness, I want you to think of it like this. If you're in a relationship with a person, okay, and I imagine if you're watching this, you were, we're talking about someone going, and you instantly being like, oh God, what's wrong? Like, what's happening? What's wrong? That's hypervigilance, where everything the person does, the way their body moves, we're constantly there, and we're constantly like, what can we do for you? Like, how can we make it better? What can we do? Like, that's hypervigilance. Okay, and it's the sense of like losing self in preparation for what the person's going to ask, and that again that's not who we are. We don't cater to anyone else like that. That seems ridiculous, because we put ourselves on hold while we help someone else. That doesn't help anyone. Okay, so all this overstimulated our sympathetic system, pumping chemicals of stress into our bloodstream. It is one of the reasons we were so exhausted while in the relationship. To override this, we can activate our parasympathetic system, switching from fight or flight to rest and digest. How to do this? Activate your vagus nerve. One of my favorite ways to do this is by practicing deep breathing, taking cold showers, and laying on my right side. Here, to inspire more ideas, I provide a link to an article that goes deeper into the subject and offers a plethora of activities to help you quell your anxiety. So seriously, you guys, there's branching paths here on this article where you can read more about this. I am totally all about you guys being like, oh, I like this. Like, I'm going to click on it. I don't care that you click away from my channel. I want you guys to get help however you guys get help, okay? Whatever that means, that's what I'm here to help you guys with. So please check out the articles that I mentioned. Look up other teachers. Just get yourself feeling better. That's what this whole journey is about, you guys, okay? Okay, 10. Be patient. Whether you get upset at yourself because you slipped up and fallen right back to the pit, or get frustrated that you are not making faster progress and instead crying again, please be kind to yourself. This healing requires deep work, and deep work requires time. Every one of us has different rhythms, has gone through different though similar experiences, and therefore will need more or less time to heal. But know one thing, no matter how long it will take you, with persistence and commitment to yourself, you will get there one step at a time. It is simply inevitable. I hope this post was helpful to you and look forward to meeting you in the comments. And then, so I'm going to link the article down below so you guys can absolutely look at this. And please let me know what you think in the comments. Post stories, post different things, like the video if you liked it. But definitely, I like doing these kinds of videos because it is about healing. I want my channel to be about healing. Okay, that's what this whole journey is about for me personally, is to help others heal. Yeah, so I will post this video and you guys will be watching it a little bit later tonight. I'm trying to post every day. I'm trying to get some stuff out there, but I love you guys very much and I want you to have an amazing, amazing day, okay? And I will talk to you guys very soon.